Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Quran with Durr the Juz al-Quran spares. And this is the second session reading from Surah Al-Qamar, the moon. And we have only been able to comment on, in fact, it's the one part of the first verse that needed special attention. It's about the splitting of the moon. We mentioned that we have the Qur'an, of course, here, right, at the beginning of the surah, mentioning this splitting. So we believe, we submit. That's one thing. Number two, the multiple independent chains of narrators of numerous prophetic traditions also addressing the same issue, the splitting of the moon. So we have these two things. And the reaction of the polytheists, the idolaters, who did see the splitting of the moon but simply dismissed it as magic. And that's where we are going to continue. But just a reminder, we try to shed light on what science is saying about the topography of the moon as much as possible. Very interesting. And we highlighted one of these discoveries. In fact, it's NASA, that there is a moon rift, 2,500 kilometers width, and it's rectangular. And we said that based on the idea that the moon circumference is just a little bit less than 11,000, and we always see one side of the moon, and that will be half what we see, that rift, the 2,500 kilometers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alam. I mean, as Dr. Zaghal Najjar said, we don't ask science to prove. But sometimes certain things are obvious, sometimes things are interesting, but something happened. And so inshallah we will read and continue. So the idolater said that it is the same old magic, and we address these issues. Not only that's the only thing that they have done. They lied, but not only they lied, they also did not believe, and they followed their own. They rejected. Takdhib is rejection. They rejected the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أعوذ بالله السميع من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكذبوا واتبعوا أهواءهم وكذبوا واتبعوا أمر مستقر. They rejected the truth when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sent to them, but they continued to follow their own whims, their own desires, their own opinions. كل أمر مستقر وكل أمر مستقر. Qatada rahimahullah said that it means that which is good will reach the people of good deeds, أهل الخير. وأنه الخير واقع بأهل الخير. And the other part, evil will befall the people of evil, the evildoers. And probably we read about evil in the past. We have seen evil, and it is still unfolding. Subhanallah, as if humanity did not learn anything. People, some political leaders, some presidents behave worse than, like, there's no one in history probably behaved like this. And when it is coupled with disbelief, with one interpretation that this verse وَكُلُّ أَمْرٍ مُسْتَقِرٌ is alluding to the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَلَقَدْ جَاءَهُم مِّنَ الْأَنبَاءِ مَا فِيهِ مُزْدَجَرٌ. Even though the stories of destroyed nations that have already come to them are a sufficient deterrent. The news, the stories, should have taught them a lesson about the previous nations that rendered the lie to the messengers. They rejected the truth, and the punishment that was their destiny. And it's in the punishment in this life, mind you, the punishment in the hereafter. It should have had a sufficient deterrent. And deterrent here, should deter them from shirk, should deter them from rendering the lie, rejecting the truth. حكمة بالغة فما تغني النذر. A profound wisdom, meaning the Qur'an is a profound wisdom, but warnings are of no benefit to them. فما تغني النذر. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after the rejection, and after not only the rejection, some people are simply non-believers. Some people are non-believers and are hurtful. There are those who do not believe, but they act respectfully. They speak beautifully. Some of them are fair. They speak about Islam even comparing it to their own religions, very fair people, but some people are Islamophobic, so there is a difference. There are different levels. فتولى عنهم, now addressing Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so turn away from them. And the context means that and wait for the day when the caller will summon them for something horrifying. The caller at the end, this is the angel Israfil blowing the trumpet, causing all to be raised from the dead for punishment, for judgment. But for them, judgment, they know that it's going to be. This is why they will say, after a couple of years, they say, this is هذا يوم عسر, this is a difficult day. إلى شيء نكر, a horrible, horrifying, something horrifying that will happen to them. It's the judgment and all that it entails. شعن أبصارهم يوم الأجداث كأنهم جراد منتشر, with eyes downcast, humiliated. They will come forth from the graves as if they were swarming locusts. Elsewhere in the Qur'an, كالفراش المبثوث, like the butterflies spreading out. And if one understands, the image is basically, first of all, they have no choice but to respond. That's one thing. They have no choice but to respond. So they will come forth from the graves and they will hasten. They will not مهطعين. In the next verse, مهطعين إلى الداع. Verse 6, يوم يدعو الداع. And verse 8, مهطعين إلى الداع. They will respond, have no choice, rushing towards the caller. مهطعين. The disbelievers will cry, this is a difficult day. A difficult day, a horrifying day, a horrible day for them. And I think it's very important to remember this speedy response. They have no will. It's not that they can avoid this. It's the day of resurrection. كذب قبلهم قوم نوح فكذبوا عبدنا وقالوا مجنون ومزدور. Before them, the people of Noah denied the truth and rejected our servant. They rejected Nuh alayhi salam, calling him insane, and he was intimidated. فدعا ربه أني مغلوب فانتصر. So he cried out to his Lord, I am helpless, so help me. This is after almost, we spoke about this before, probably more than once. And no prophet was mentioned. No prophet stayed with his people, at least in the Qur'an. He stayed the longest with his people, calling them for to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to change course. And after almost 1,000 years, 951.5 really years, we spoke about this before, and only a handful really. وَمَا آمَنُوا إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. A few people believed in him, and they mocked him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to build the ark, and they mocked him. فَفَتَحْنَا أَبْوَابَ السَّمَاءِ بِمَاءٍ مُنْهَمِرٍ. So we opened the gates of the sky with pouring rain. وَفَجَّرْنَا الْأَرْضَ عُيُونًا فَالْمَاءُ عَلَى أَمْرٍ قَدْ قُدِرَ. And caused the earth to burst with springs. So the waters met for a fate already set. So from both sides, water, rain and floods, ultimately the water rose to enough to sink everything, everyone, every living outside the ark. So that was a new beginning. This is when there's a verse in the Quran that is relevant. It's about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choosing Adam, Nuh alayhi salam, Al Imran, and Al Ibrahim and Al Imran. إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين. So we talk about two individuals and we talk about two families. Adam alayhi salam is the literally the first human being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. So that he was the beginning of humanity. And Nuh alayhi salam, that's another beginning for humanity after the flood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alam. This is my, trying to understand this istifa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choosing Adam, choosing Noah, choosing Al Ibrahim and Al Imran. And for Al Ibrahim alayhi salam, it's one might say a new beginning for humanity, for reviving monotheism. All the prophets, Adam alayhi salam was monotheist, Noah alayhi salam was monotheist, but for Ibrahim alayhi salam, he became it's a new beginning, let's say, in terms of the history of revelation. هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل. He called the Muslims as true submitters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وحملناه على ذات ألواح ودسر. And we carried him on that ark made of planks and nails. تجري بأعيننا جزاء لمن كان كفر. Sailing under our watchful eyes. A fair punishment on behalf of the one they denied. وَلْقَايَةً فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We certainly left this. They have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala It's a sign as a sign. So is there anyone who will be mindful? There are this ark is the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left behind. If the reference is to the flood, if the reference is to the flood as the sign, whether it's very simple. Finding the earth was flooded, and you will find sea creatures, shells, even as high as Mount Everest. So when they say that when the tectonic plates were pushed each other, these remnants, the fossils, were already there, and away from the sea, away from the Mediterranean, like high mountains, let's say about maybe 50 kilometers away from the Mediterranean, and a high mountain, and I saw myself a fish fossil. فكيف كان عذابي ونذر. Then how dreadful were my punishment and warnings. وقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر. And we have certainly made the Quran easy to remember. So is there anyone who will be mindful? There's the very first verse that was revealed. It's very unique. Iqra, recite, read, proclaim. But read is very appropriate. Read the Quran. And it's not only read, it's read in the name of your Lord. Iqra bismi rabbik. And it's not only read in the name of your Lord, it's read in the name of your Lord who created. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. So the Quran here in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy to remember, accessible. Next is it begins with the story of Ad and how their punishment, the nature of their punishment. And inshallah we'll deal with this at the beginning of the next session. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.